Hey there, nail lovers. Courtney here, and today I'm going to be extending my nail with Hard Gel by Bluesky. So I've had my Bluesky Hard Gel on for a couple of weeks. I've already infilled this hand, and now I'm ready to infill this hand. But I thought I would take off one nail and shorten it so I can show you with a tip how to make it longer. So when you're using hard gel to do extensions, you can only extend them a little bit. You can see here how much growth I have on this nail. That's probably the same amount that I would be comfortable extending it. So I will be doubling the length of this nail from what it is right now. The first thing that you want to do before you do any extensions is to prepare the natural nail and get rid of any cuticle or dead tissue from the surface of the nail, like that. And I'm also going to be just roughing up the surface a little bit with my 180 grit file. I'm just like floating the nail file over top just to remove any excess cuticle around the edge here. And I want to rough up the surface of my nail all over so that the gel can stick to it. Okay, so I'm going to clean that with some acetone. I like to use acetone to clear away any dust or oils or debris or anything from my nail because it dehydrates it at the same time. So I've got my tip here. This is a really long stiletto shaped tip, but I'm going to cut it short. I just like these tips because they taper in on the sides, and so it gives it a nice gentle taper. So I'm going to glue this onto my nail now. I've already sized it and it fits exactly the way that I want it to, from side to side. So I'll just put a little bit of glue there and then apply that onto my nail. Okay, so you want to make sure that that's good and dry before you go ahead and cut it. I'm going to be using my tip cutters, but you can use scissors or whatever. So as I said before, this is going to be a very short extension. I'm only wanting to do about twice as much length as what I have already. So I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than I want it, and then I'll be filing the rest of the length off with my file. So here I'm just blending in the surface of the tip to make that a little bit more flush with the natural nail, so it's not a big step. Also, it roughs up the surface of the tip. When you use gel, you need to buff or file the surface of the plastic tip, or else the gel won't stick to it. Okay, so I'm happy with the length of the extended part there. It's about the same length of my other nails. So now I'm going to wipe that again with acetone just to get rid of any oils from my file or dust or whatever. Now, once that's dry, I'll go ahead and put the hard gel on. I'm using the pink one, which is what I have on the rest of my nails. So I'm going to do the first layer really thin. I know some people use base coat when they use the hard gel. I put this on a few weeks ago and I didn't use base coat and everything stayed fine. So I'm not using base coat. I'm just going to do the first layer good and thin. And then that will act as my base layer. So that's going to go in the light for 60 seconds. once your first layer of hard gel is cured or your base coat is cured, then you can go ahead and do your next layers. You can either do 3 or 4 thin layers, or you can do 1 or 2 thicker layers, depending on how comfortable you are applying the product and how well you can control it. You want to make sure that this area here, where the tip joins to the natural nail, is filled in. As you can see, there's a little bit of a downward slope from the tip, and then it goes back up onto the natural nail. You want to make sure that you're focusing your product in that area, because that is where the weakest part will be. So if you're doing quite a few layers, then just go over the whole nail, and then you can go in with your file afterwards and shape the outer edges to be thinner. If you want to do some thicker layers, you can just focus that product in that area and then blend it in to the product towards the cuticle. Like that. And make sure that it doesn't bleed into your cuticles. You can also hold your finger upside down, and what that's going to do is draw the gel towards the table or the ground, and it's going to give you a really nice little apex like that. Make sure that if you do it this way, you get it in the light as soon as possible so that it doesn't spread back down and go into your cuticles. Once you've done a couple of good thick layers on your nail, or you've done quite a few thin layers and you're happy with the thickness of the product in the stress area there where the tip joins to the nail, then you might be quite happy with the shape and the overall thickness of it, or you might want to refine it just a little bit with a file. I always like to refine them just because I find it gives it a better finish. So I'm just going to take my file and go over the surface of the nail, just like I did when I was doing an overlay, and just make sure that it's all level. So you can see where I filed here. My file was laying flat when I went across there, and only these 2-3 sections were touched by the file. So that tells me that those sections are a little bit higher up. And so I want to keep filing until all of the sections have been touched by the file. Make sure that I do the free edge. And that is my extended nail with hard gel by Bluesky. So I'm going to go ahead and infill these 3 nails now. If you want to check out that video, click this link up here. And if not, I will see you guys when I come back again for another video. If you liked this one, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can watch me do more fun stuff on my nails. I'll see you next time.